Hey, what's up? It's week two. Got John here today as our opponent. So, going right in, um, John is a very weird opponent. Last week he ran some very wild sets and none of his T1s, which is kind of insane to me. So, I have no clue what to expect, so I kind of have to prep for all of it. And I have to really just understand what's going to come from his team and how I'm going to play around it. Now you can see his team has Rillaboom, Volcarona, Suicune, Comfey, which is so distorted it's hard to see. Um, we got Mandibuzz, Hitmonlee, Regirock, uh, Alolan Dugtrio, Cradily, Aurorus, and Fletchinder. Also, I'd like to note that I made a transaction this week, trading Piloswine for the Mr. Rhyme. I want you all to know that this is part one of about three parts of transactions and maybe even trades if those actually work out for me. Um, but all in all, that's how I'm planning around this. And I will talk about a bit more about his team in the most likely slide because then it's a bit easier to go over his team. Alright, so we're going to start with what we're most likely to see here instead of what we're going to be bringing. So first off, our most likely is Regirock and Comfey. Now, Regirock hits hard into a ton of my team. There's not many resistances for it. Those main resistances are going to be Sceptile and Finny. So that's why those are my must-bring column. But most of my team can't take a hit from it, whether it's a ground move or a rock move. So I'm pretty certain that it's going to come. Also, Comfey next to it is a very solid bring because it can proc its weakness policy, but also because it gets priority moves against my Urshifu, which is going to be very beneficial against my team. So that's why I expect that duo, especially, because they can probably put in a lot of work, especially early game, just set me up in a very bad position. Next for the Kudzi, because this guy is very difficult to read, especially with what he brings. I put about 6 Mons in the Kudzi because the only ones that are unlikely to see are the ones that like completely get pummeled. So we could potentially see the Rillaboom and the Unburdened Hitmonlee, which would be good for contesting my terrain, but also allowing the Hitmonlee to check my Urshifu. However, I have my Tapu Fini to take care of the Hitmonlee. I have a Talonflame to take care of the Hitmonlee. So I'm not sure, and I have Priority Tailwind, so I'm not sure that's going to be what they want to do. Next, I could bring Volcarona because it hits hard into my Sceptile and my Magnezone and a decent chunk of my team, but it also gets completely chunked by Lycanroc, which is why it's in my must-bring column. But Volcarona can do a lot of work if it's not checked by Lycanroc. It's really a matter of does it get checked by Lycanroc at all. Next we could see Mandibuzz because it checks my Urshifu pretty well, but I'm not sure what it's going to want to do. It's probably going to be a bit more of a support set if it comes, but I have no reason to see why it wouldn't come either. It's very up in the air, so that's why it's a could see. We also have Alolan Dugtrio because it checks Magnezone and Lycanroc very well. However, it gets bodied by Sceptile and Finny and Urshifu. And finally, Suicune can contest with its opposing Tailwind, but it gets checked by my Sceptile and my Magnezone, so I'm not too sure if they want to bring that. Now, in the unlikely to sees, Aurorus completely gets killed by Magnezone and Sceptile and Lycanroc and Urshifu, and overall it's not a good experience. Now, Fletchinder, they could bring that for their own priority Tailwind, but with so many things checking it, like Lycanroc and, say, my own Talonflame, Magnezone, and really anything that touches it, even my Tapu Fini, I feel like it's gonna struggle a lot, and if it does come, it's likely gonna live long enough to hit the focus sash and then to break some sort of move. I'm not sure. Finally, Cradilly just doesn't have a great time, though it could. If it does come, it's probably gonna check the Finny, but I'm not sure. Anyway, for my must springs, we have Finny because it hits very hard into Regirock, which is probably a must spring. Hits hard into Volcarona and Hitmonlee and a lot of their team, as well as it sets up Sceptile, which is going to do even better work. And I'm going to go over that. Actually, I go over it a bit soon, so I'm not really going to go over too much, but I will. Now, next, Sceptile, it has very good coverage, which, I mean, of course, you have to switch up between physical and special to get the right coverage. But I feel like there's a variant of this that gets just the right coverage to cover every single thing on this team in some way. So with Finny enabling it, I feel like this is going to be a very good bring for me. Next, Lycanroc is just for the Volcarona, really, and for pumping out more damage. What can I say? Of course, I would bring it. Uh, I'm kind of going to open myself a lot to Volcarona. If that comes, then I don't have my Lycanroc. So that's why I have it on my must bring. Now, in my could brings, Urshifu. The reason I'm considering that is because of Comfey kind of just screwing it over, but it hits so hard into that Regirock and literally everything on this team, or because it just hits everything super hard always, that I can't not put in the could bring. Now, Talonflame, again, it gets completely bodied by Regirock, but it's priority Tailwind, and it's a very good check to the Rillaboom and the Hitmonlee and the Volcarona. Overall, it's a great mon for checking a lot of those modes outside of the Comfey and Regirock. Now, of course, we can't not consider Togetic here because there's a lot of single target moves that are going to be flying around. Not too many spread moves, but a lot of single target moves that I would really love to follow me. And then, of course, that's why I'm considering it. Why wouldn't I at that point? And then finally, Magnezone, because it hits hard into the Regirock, but it's very volatile, so it could hit a Max Quake into it and just die. And then at that point, I'm just going to have to deal with it. Finally, Prime One brings Mesprit. It just doesn't get the damage output I would want from it. Sure, it checks the Hitmonlee, but that's maybe a maybe to come. And the rest of it, it gets hit with a knockoff and a bug buzz and a million other things. It's just not going to do work. Morgrem, it's just not its weak with the things I need to bring. It's not going to get the opportunity to do much. It could be a good way to set Reflect. I will say, I might like it to set Reflect for a lot of the physical attackers, but I'm not too sure. Mr. Rhyme, I just picked it up, but not its weak. Too many checks to it, and again, Altaria just too weak. Too many checks, especially with that Regirock. It's too scary for me to bring that. Ursalf, Phineas got leftovers for reliable chip recovery, Dazzling Gleam because I want to avoid Protect, Scald because I want to avoid the weakness policy, Haze because I'm going to be faster than Regirock and therefore I can haze away the weakness policy boost before it gets to use it, and Calm Mind because Calm Mind. Very defensively bulky set because this is a very defensively oriented team. Special attack. Sorry, not defensively, physically oriented team, sorry. Special attack, max, just to take advantage, a little bit in special defense. Anyway, Sceptile, Misty Seed and Burden. These three moves hit super effective or neutral into every single mon. Only mon that doesn't get hit super effectively is Hitmonlee, but Hitmonlee, I'll just hit with a Leaf Blade, it's fine. So, for this, max attack, just because, well, attack isn't really great, you know? it's 85 versus the 105 special attack, so I can't really use attack too effectively, but I need to put everything I can into it. HP just to get it to a number ending in 1, um, defense for everything else, 4 in the special defense because I had the extra EV, speed is speed creeping the Hitmonlee. Um, so yeah, if they're both unburdened boosted, this will outspeed. Next, Lycanroc, very simple set, very simple EVs. Only thing interesting here is Protect and Sword Stance. Sword Stance is just to make sure that things hit very effectively while it's out, and it makes it a threat. Drill Run especially, it needs to hit into very physically defensive things, so the Sword Stance will help me do that. Accelerock is going to be my way of shutting down that Volcarona before it gets started, really. Togetic, interesting things here are Reflect, because very physical team. Grass Knot, because it's a very grass weak team. And just very physically oriented bulk. It's like literally, if you look through here, this is special, but who cares? It's not gonna hit well into that anyway. These two are special, but you're not really worrying about the special attack here unless you're against an Urshifu. This is special, but it's probably going to be more of a support set anyway. And Aurorus, I believe, is special, but if whatever. This is not a team and Aurorus wants to come in against. Next is Talonflame, Chardy Berry, so it lives a Rock Slide, because living a Rock Slide is very important when they want to do multi-target attacks. It gives us an extra turn. I'm speed creeping the Alolan Dugtrio. This is just to get it into a good grassy terrain, recovery HP. Attack is as much attack as I could put into it for whatever reason. I'm trying to remember what I calced it for, but it was probably for this Rillaboom. Tailwind for going Tailwind. Sealing is for basically the Regirock and the Comfey, especially that Comfey, getting it taken out easily is best. Quick Guard is for the Rillaboom, because if a Rillaboom gets shut down entirely with his Grassy Glide, then what's it gonna do? And also I have Togetic follow me to shut down that Grassy Glide. But what else is here? Defense is really just to make sure I live that Rock Slide. The Ascent. I think the calc is 2/3 to 3/4 of my health if I get hit by a Rock Slide with Shardy Berry. So yeah, it's very frail, but the least I can do is live that Rock Slide. Finally, I talked about the speed already. This is just a little bit of special defense just to have it. Finally, the power special hitter on this team is Magnezone, Specs, Analytic, Modest, Max special attack, as much special attack as I can really put into this thing. With HP to live, Suicune hits, defense, just to round it out, Flash Cannon for most things, Steel Beam for the Max Regirock, because that does about 60 to 70% with this thing, maybe even up to 80. Thunderbolt for the Suicune, for example, and Volt Switch is for the slow switch. So that's the team. Matches in about 2.5 hours. See you then. Okay, so a couple things before we start. First off, I am very confused by the team that I'm seeing here. First off, I see Cradilly in Volcarona, but second off, there's no Regirock, which means a lot of my team is free to, like, it has free reign to do a lot of things. So, I'm mainly thinking, well, that Hitmonlee and uh, what's it called, Rillaboom are going to be the lead, and trying to figure out with the entire team surrounding it how I need to bring my lead in order to confirm everything else is okay. So I think eventually I just settle on Finny Sceptile, and I'm trying to figure out why I need in the back because this this combination of mons was something very unexpected. I need to figure out how I need to bring everything. Originally, I'm thinking Lycanroc Togetic, and I really need that Lycanroc to make sure Volcarona doesn't come in and just fuck. So I eventually decide against Togetic and for Magnezone instead. And you see the clock's ticking here, and I'm so lost in thought that I'm very frazzled at this moment. And that's going to carry into turn one as well. And that's mainly because, despite the fact that I'm expecting the Hitmonlee Rillaboom, I have no clue what I need to do with my Finny once that's out. And likewise, I choke massively with the amount of time I have to make my decision for Sceptile. Now, of course, I hit my Unburden boost immediately, right? And what I should have done here is max grass into the Hitmonlee and try my best to shut down that Rillaboom with what I have on my Finny. I don't know how much Finny's gonna take, especially from Rillaboom. I don't know if I don't remember my calcs, especially. But I think I live a Grassy Glide. I'm just not sure of everything. So I'm thinking maybe I can switch it up, but my play here actually just throws the entire game away and it makes me play for differential. So I see the 10, I'm like, oh shit, right? I can't go for Calm Mind because I'm not gonna be able to use it. I'm gonna have to switch to Magnezone. I guess I can just cross poison into Rillaboom and get my stuff in. Yeah, but what I should have done, stayed in, probably gone for a Haze. Or no, not a Haze because I don't outspeed. I should have gone for a Dazzling Gleam to make sure I pick up a KO. And then yeah, the max grass into Hitmonlee just to get it out of the way. And just try to stall out and kill everything next to Rillaboom while Rillaboom is maxed. That should have been my play, but instead, we see Fake Out, procs a normal gem, and therefore gets a ton of damage onto Sceptile. Sceptile doesn't even get a move off. And the max grass goes into Magnezone, taking it into kill range from basically anything. So here's really where I realize I'm screwed. Pun not intended because of the screws on Magnezone. Because Magnezone is my main damage dealer. It does a ton to Rillaboom, ton to Hitmonlee, ton to literally everything. So I'm not sure where I'm gonna go here. I think I just threw the game and I'm really gonna have to play for differential more than anything. So I think, well, shit. I guess I'm gonna have to Steel Beam into Rillaboom in case I can at least live. It's gonna have to sack Magnezone, but it's gonna get enough damage onto Rillaboom where it doesn't matter. I guess I can chip it, or at least get a ton of damage off on it with Max Ooze, because then I could also, well, it'll be boosting that Steel Beam, right? So I think it's a good play, but I failed to realize I should have just targeted into the Hitmonlee. This Hitmonlee here, well, first off, Rillaboom does a ton to Magnezone, Hitmonlee does a ton to Sceptile, and I do nothing to the Rillaboom. overall horrible situation for me. And this is really where I know I'm screwed, because I have nothing to deal with this Rillaboom anymore. Okay, now what, right? Sceptile's gonna die. Hitmonlee can die if I target it correctly. I don't know. But Lycanroc definitely dies if it comes in, so I'm bringing Finny again, knowing that it's probably gonna die to something from Rilla. I'm thinking, well, screw it. I don't have much else to do. I can Dazzling Gleam, maybe? I can haze stuff off. I don't even know. Ultimately, I decided it's not enough to haze off. And I'm just gonna hit the Dazzling Gleam for confirmed damage. And then, sure, a max ooze into Hitmonlee, see how much that does. Because if I max ooze into Hitmonlee, that means that Finny gets extra boosts, and that means potential extra damage into Rillaboom. Because it's gonna kill the Hitmonlee, right? So Hitmonlee reveals Rock Slide, taking down the Sceptile, which is fine because it got its move off and it got the special attack boosts. And Finny goes for the Dazzling Gleam, taking out the Hitmonlee, and at least making sure it's not a 4-0. And really just saving my differential for the future. Of course, Finny goes down. I have Lycanroc in the back. And y'all are really gonna see, well, the rest of this game play out very poorly for me. Because I can't do damage to Rillaboom. Of course, I was thinking about Fire Fang, but I'm not entirely sure Fire Fang was the right move. I probably could have left off Protect, maybe. Because it didn't come in handy this game. But whatever. So I guess I'm going to take a break here while my voice rests a little bit so I'm not coughing into the mic. And you can see a speed up version of this end game. Now going into this next, I know instantly I need to bring Talonflame, and I decided while working on the end game there that Magnezone is probably best for doing damage extraneously. I also realized, of course, that Hitmonlee's Unburden boost is reliant on Fake Out, which I can deal with Quick Guard. So, of course, I can Quick Guard Talonflame and get some huge damage off into the Rillaboom with, say, a Max Steel Spike, and set myself up from there. And in the back, of course, I have to bring Lycanroc, and I bring Togetic as well, just to make sure that Lycanroc actually can do something. There's not much that Lycanroc and Togetic can do, but I'm confident in the amount of work that Talonflame and Magnezone together can do, so that the rest of everything else can fall into place. And of course, I'm also trying to anticipate what the lead is here, because honestly, there's a lot of mind games that John can do here. First off, he can, of course, just bring up straight up Rillaboom Hitmonlee, as that's his set lead. He knows that's going to do well. You know, it did well last game, and it's likely to do well this game again. He has no reason to change things up if it isn't working right. But also, he could have anticipated what I was bringing and brought a counter lead. Either way, thankfully I see the Hitmonlee and Rillaboom, meaning I'm in a way better spot, right? Um, I know exactly what I'm going to be doing here, how my first turn is going to play out, and what I need to do. So I start off with the Quick Guard, and I guess I'm going to go for the Steel Beam, Max Steel Spike into Rillaboom, expecting if it doesn't max, it's going to kill. If it maxes, it's going to do enough damage to two-shot. So of course we see the Rillaboom max. Not a surprise this time, but also with this lead you never know what's gonna max. But we do see the Rillaboom come out. And based off of what the Rillaboom does is going to determine how I feel. Also, I forget that I have specs on this, which is why I'm so confident maxing. I thought I was still Shuckaberry from early in my prep, but that just goes to show that maybe confidence is a good thing against teams like this. The Talonflame goes for Quick Guard, and it catches the Hitmonlee, which is great for me, because Burden doesn't get procced. And Max Knuckle comes out, and that tells me it likely does not have a Max Quake option, which is probably high horsepower. Which is also great for me, because it means that Magnezone likely won't get two-shot. So we see huge damage coming up into the Rillaboom, which is awesome, right? And the max defense, or the defense boost, is coming out to make sure that Rillaboom isn't going to be doing more and more damage each coming turn. So I see this lead, right? And I know these are the fastest things I need to worry about. And Lycanroc doesn't have to worry about Volcarona's speed. So I don't think I need to deal with setting up a Tailwind. I go straight for the Brave Bird into the Hitmonlee just to catch it out, make sure it doesn't do like high jump kick damage into my Magnezone, and I just try to finish off the Rillaboom here. So I'm thinking I'm in a pretty good spot. Brave Bird comes out, great for me, meaning there's no other priority most likely. Hitmonlee goes down straight, which is amazing. Exactly what I wanted to see. We also see Max Knuckle come back out, hit into the, what is it called? Magnezone. And we see the coming Steel Spike, which should, and indeed does, take out that Rillaboom. Which puts me in an awesome position for this end game. Now, of course, I have +2 defense on Magnezone, +2 defense on Talonflame. There's a little bit of chip on Magnezone to the point where something that's super fast comes out, like a Volcarona. I may be screwed, but I'm confident in my switch-ins with the Togekiss and Lycanroc specifically that I'm not too worried. So we see the Cradily come out along with the Comfey, and Cradily has the Grassy Seed, raising its defense, so I'm a little worried. Not gonna lie, I'm trying to figure out what my target priority should be. I don't think Comfey is going to be doing too much damage to me. At first I'm like, okay, I can Quick Guard, but I realize that's or not Quick Guard, Tailwind, but these mons aren't going to worry me at all with the speed. So instead, I eventually choose Steel Wing into the Comfey because of Cradilly's defense boost, and I Steel Spike into the Cradily because I know that's a special move, and it means it'll likely do well. So Helping Hand comes out, and Talonflame outspeeds, which is exactly what's expected, and Steel Spike comes out as well, takes out the Cradily, which both means that Magnezone can take out Cradily, and more importantly, we're left with the Comfey on the field. which is great for me because I can just flash cannon and steel, yes, steel wing. Sorry, stumbled over my words to take out that comfort. And that brings me into a 4-0 victory for game 2, which, first off, offsets the differential from the last game, meaning I'm +1 now, and I'm feeling way more confident about this because I literally just 4-0'd someone, which I don't think I've ever done in this league so far. Also, I'm using Flash Cannon here so I don't reveal that I have Steel Beam in the back doing the damage, and they just think that I'm running Flash Cannon, which is fine. So, finally, I'm figuring out if I want to run the same thing or different. And this also prompts probably a little bit of overconfidence for me. Because I should have realized John's a smart player. And, well, first off, I decided I want to lead like around Togetic, but I realized that if I do that, I'm screwed against the Rillaboom lead. So if he does that, I'm screwed, right? So I'd rather go for the tried and true and do the same lead again, right? Which is also the optimum play, or optimal play. I'm just gonna have to see. And if it is, if we do see the same lead, which, spoiler alert, we do, I need to figure out what my game plan is. And I get too cocky. I think that he's gonna do the exact same thing. Which, when he comes out with the exact same thing, after a game where I literally just annihilated him with his exact lead, I know he's got something. I should have known that he had something else up his sleeve, and that he wasn't just going to fake out. Because he knows that fake out doesn't work, he needs to go for something different. Which I probably should have made me realize that, hey, Hitmonlee might be a problem, and what I could have done here is straight up Brave Burden. And, yeah. So, I believe the correct play here was to Brave Bird into the Hitmonlee and follow up with this Max Steel Beam into the Rillaboom, which would have prompted the Comfey to come out. But no, I'm left in this position, right? Which, okay, it's not an ideal position where I'm about to get into, but it's also not entirely a bad position. It's not a position where I just threw away the game like the first game. So I'm not feeling too bad about it. It's not my worst misplay in the world. I can tell y'all that right now. And y'all know that I've made way worse misplays. So maybe second most optimal play, which is what we know has worked. But it's not the most optimal of taking out the threat that I probably should have realized is going to occur. So of course, they skip the entire fake out, go for the straight high jump kick, plus the max knuckle. Which means that Magnezone isn't going to live a second max knuckle. Right. Because it also means that, well, you'll see here soon, the max Seal Spike will come out, kill the Hitmonlee, right? No big deal. That's exactly what I was hoping would happen. And, well, you see it did happen. But I probably could have done better to do more damage onto the Rillaboom and prevent more damage onto that Magnezone. So essentially what we're seeing is that Magnezone goes down this turn if the target prioritization is right. And I have nothing better to do at this point. So I'm realizing it's a Volcarona out, I need to get up Tailwind ASAP. And I'm also realizing that since it's a min speed Rillaboom, if I Tailwind, I'll also be able to get another attack off into the Rillaboom before Magnezone goes down, which is a really good position for me. So that's what I'm attempting to do. I'm just double checking and stalling here just to make sure everything happens as I need it to, because I don't want to be caught out. Actually, I think what I was doing there was I was trying to look up what the speed stat for Rillaboom was and what it was for Magnezone, because I forgot. It's 60 and 85 and a mid speed 85 versus a 31 IV, zero investment Magnezone, until when the Magnezone should outspeed, and we see it definitely does. If it didn't, that play would have been way riskier, but since it did, I'm in a good spot. And a Max Darkness comes out onto the Talonflame, which drops the special defense, which I'm not too worried about because these mods are going to go down soon anyway. I'm not too sure about this play and make here. I know I need to Brave Bird something, I'm not sure what. So I go for the Rillaboom, because I think, well, I also have something in the back. That was probably the wrong play. I probably should have gone for Volcarona, because we see Rillaboom doesn't go down. Talonflame almost goes down. Fiery Dance picks up the KO on Magnezone, and now we have an almost max health Rillaboom still on the field that is yeah, it has yet to attack. Sorry, because Max Darkness comes out, takes the KO. That puts me in an awkward endgame, right? Because Rillaboom is so low that it will die to its life orb next turn. But also that means it can, of course, be healed by Floral Healing. So say if they switch their Rillaboom out, not a great position. So between misplays that turn and this turn, I'm left in a bad 2v3 spot, and that's basically what loses us the game here. It's two minor misplays versus a perfectly played endgame on John's end, which I'm not too mad about, because at this point I'm literally doing all I can. Because of course I realize that if there's any bulk in this Volcarona, I forgot to calc the Volcarona. And after calcing against the Volcarona, I completely misplayed with the Sword Stance. Because max defense, max HP Volcarona does a minimum of 89% with my Accelerock, meaning this Sword Stance is entirely useless, and as long as I can get into an end game where Comfey isn't too worrying, well, it's bad for me, essentially. I should have. That was the last misplay through the game. I should have Accelerocked into Volcarona, and of course, well, also, why did I even Helping Hand here? I was so unconfident. I should have Accelerocked into Volcarona, and follow me, right? Getting it down to 1, causing Comfey to have to Floral Healing into the Volcarona, in order for, or not even Floral Healing, it would have to get Chip Off into the Lycanroc. So that's the last misplay. These are the last misplays, to be honest. So Volcarona gets the 1 because of Sash, right? Should have done that last turn. Fiery Dance now kills the Togetic, where had I Accelerocked the first turn, it wouldn't have been able to get that move off. Then, of course, well, now I'm in a 1v3, and that's Sword Stance through the game, really. I was too cocky and too unconfident. So, Accelerock goes into Volcarona, right? Just because differential. I have to at this point. So, I believe what happens is, yeah, Comfy uses Giga Drain, meaning I'm in Giga Drain range. And, of course, Volcarona dies. We know this. And Rillaboom will come out, and even a Grassy Glide or a Giga Drain will kill. So, I lose. So, a mismanaged third set for me, but overall I played decently. None of my plays were entirely stupid. I had good basis, but overall, learn your facts, learn your calcs for your Volcaronas and your Lycanrocs, like I should have done. Anyway, thank you all for watching. GG's to John. See you in week 3.